welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Megan's View. Thank you so much for coming back this week and watching this new video. Now, as you can tell by the title, I just honestly wanted to sit down and do a new Marvel sit down chit chat type of situation, only because I feel like we're reaching towards the ending of the year. We're ending the year, it's December, and a lot of new Marvel content has came out from jump. Since January with WandaVision all the way now to December, we've received a lot of new Marvel content that I really want to sit down and talk about. I did one earlier this year. I did a few because I reviewed Black Widow, I reviewed WandaVision. I didn't review Loki nor Winter Soldier and What If, but you get the point. A lot of new Marvel stuff has happened, new content drops and stuff like that. Shows, movie-wise, we had Eternals, we had Black Widow, we had just a lot going on in the Marvel world this whole year after going through a year drought in 2020. So they made up for it in abundance, and of course with the stuff that we've already seen, we've heard new announcements being made about upcoming shows that's coming up in the following year, and movies as well too, with the new phases, and just a lot. It's just a lot in general, and I'm pretty excited. And I feel like throughout the whole year we have been fed a lot of new content, and I'm overwhelmed and overjoyed with it. So I just wanted to do a quick recap of what we've gotten since the last talk we had, which includes Black Widow, because that's just a whole recap of the whole year of Marvel. It's just gonna be like a whole another long discussion, and I'm gonna need some outside help with some friends. So I feel like if I ever do that, it'll be like a roundtable discussion, and we can all just nerd out, pow out together in that in abundance. But as of right now, let's just get into this week's video with just some Marvel updates and how I feel about them. So since I want to start with some stuff, I definitely want to start with the trajectory of where I believe the MCU, I should say, is going. And of course we're into this multiverse era. I don't know if they're going to call it a multiverse saga, just because that seems to be the main focus of what's going on. A lot of timeline talk and situations since stemming from Endgame till now. So that'll be a nice little cute name for it, because a lot of stuff that we have been dealing with is concerning timelines and the multiverses and stuff like that, hence the Spider-Man movie coming out this month. So I'm just gonna nickname it that if it hasn't been put out there, because you know the last phase and era was called the Infinity Saga, and that had to do with stones. So, you know, moving on. And I've liked a lot of the new content. I want to start off with Loki a little bit, just because that's where we first got our kick into seeing what is to come. Spoiler alert for Loki, if you haven't seen it, that's really a shame. I'm just gonna be bluntly honest, that's really a shame you haven't seen Loki. It didn't, at least on Twitter on my end, like it will be trending, but a lot of people weren't talking about it on my timeline on Twitter. But I would say it opened up it was basically the beginning of the breaking of the timeline. Now, from ending of WandaVision, seeing what happened and how she is presumably going to be having a hand into it, Loki really just showed it all out, where we got introduced to Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors. Hey boo. And he is a timeline conqueror, and that it's gonna be a lot to explain, because Loki was a ride you literally have to watch from the start to finish. So it was a lot of jargon being thrown around, but basically he's gonna be the next big bad villain of this saga. And because of the ending of Loki, I was about to curse, it messed up the whole timeline, meaning that we have new branches of timelines coming on. And I would say Loki did a great job into explaining that whole situation. So go ahead and watch Loki if you haven't, and please let me know down below as well too what you thought about that whole Loki series. And it's coming back for season 2, so make sure you do catch up on that as well too. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how they pick up and when they're going to pick up, because we're going to have a lot more in between that season 2 and what happened in season 1. So moving on from there, the next big thing was What If. I sound like a hypocrite as well too, because I haven't finished What If, but What If takes the term seriously. What if T'Challa, Black Panther, was Star-Lord, and what if Captain America was actually Captain Carter, and you know, that type of stuff. So it switches around roles and introduces kind of like a new timeline of what if this happened in this timeline. So this will lead up to here and here, which once again is leading up to like a lot of things about to change. And the trajectory is that what we learned and what we've known to come to be in this MCU in their reality is the standard timeline that's now being invaded by not only aliens and other beings, but also with the same human beings from different universes, different timelines, different things are shaking up. So it's gonna be a whole bunch of hoopla, which I am ready for, because I feel like they have done this as a slow gradual buildup rather than just throwing it all at us all at the same time. So keeping up with what has happened since the past saga and going on here, it's been leading up to this, which is great because that leaves open a lot of possibilities of more to come. We know that the X-Men are coming, Fantastic Four, other characters that haven't been introduced to the MCU because of, you know, the whole legality and behind the scenes of it all, are now going to start making sense as to how we can start introducing them into it as well too. Which then brings me into the next chapter of this video, is the new characters we're being introduced to. Since WandaVision and throughout this whole year, we've been introduced to a whole bunch of new characters that are going to be key players moving on forward. We've been introduced to new people who are going to carry on mantles and mantles being passed down. Whether it's going to be Riri Williams being the new Iron Man, she's going to be Ironheart. We have the new Captain America, Winter Soldier still here. Then we're being introduced to Young Avengers, Wanda and Visions and the kids, Kate Bishop, and in the movie Cassie Lang from Ant-Man. All these characters are being introduced and being set up. So gradually we're being introduced to new key players. Yelena, Natasha's sister from Black Widow, possibly going to be carrying on the new mantles to be the new Black Widow. And alongside, we're being introduced to like possibly the Dark Avengers, which are whether going to be anti-heroes or just villains, we don't know just yet. But we're being introduced to so many new characters, so many new more to come, and seeing our beloved characters we know and love, whether they're going to change drastically or whether it's just going to be them passing on their legacies to new key players. And I'm excited because a lot of the new characters and new shows we're going to be introduced to, it's going to be either their first time being portrayed in any live actions, which is going to be great. Just for example, the new Hawkeye show released last month, we got introduced to Echo and Kate Bishop. And I'm personally a fan of Echo because I've learned of her more recently, like about a year or so ago, and learning about her character, and now seeing her character be played out in live action. The actor playing her is a Native American and also an amputee and deaf, so a lot of visibility and diversity in that, which is just great. And that's why I'm really loving about the new heroes are coming, because the diversity and the changes and the things we can now see that we haven't really seen or not used to are finally coming to light, which is great as well too. So that's great. I've loved all the shows so far. I would say, in order to really be honest and transparent, let me just rank them. WandaVision comes in my top spot, Loki comes in just second, and then I would say What If, then I would say The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, aka Captain America and Winter Soldier. So yeah, and that's just my personal opinion. That's what I'm gonna stick with, and I feel like it's actually just kind of, it will resonate with a lot of people having that order. But anyway, and we just got introduced to Hawkeye, so I'm not really gonna rank that just yet, but I'm really liking the first 3 episodes they have released so far, so I'm really excited to see the trajectory of that. And speaking of a lot of new things, I seemingly forgot to just jump out the window and really talk about one major thing I really want to talk about, which is the Eternals. The Eternals. I have been waiting for them for quite some time. Ever since it was announced back in 2018-ish or 17 or whatever, when it was announced that a new group of heroes are coming, which were the Eternals, I was like, I've never heard of them, so let me learn about them. And I grabbed any books I can find, and my favorite comic to this day is The Eternals by Neil Gaiman, and that their origin story, learning about them, really just amplified my excitement for the movie. And let me just say, the movie did not disappoint. It had me sick. Actually, I'm gonna insert a clip of my reaction and how I felt after the movie. So yeah, we just came to see Eternals and I'm sick. I'm sick.
It's very crazy.
I'm sick. I've never been sick in my life. You see, I got the hood on.
I'm disheveled. It's too much.
I'm sick. For all y'all who say it was trash, you're a liar. And your phobia is showing. Because I am sick. There's so many feelings. I can't even talk. I'm sick. Okay? I'm not okay. I'm not. And I'm just gonna say it took me for a whirlwind, because a lot changed, not only from the characters, but from the plot that I was expecting to see. A lot of major changes, and of course they added some characters that wasn't in the book I read. So and that's totally fine, because, you know, okay. But the plot of Eternals, like, it has a lot of, it's just a lot. It's not, and I know, like, I feel like the critics and the movie critics who you know, reviewed it before we got to see it just are not used to seeing that much diversity, and it's not used to seeing a comic book movie filmed like that. I feel like you've seen it a little bit with when you go to DC area and you see what just Zack Snyder was trying to do with the Justice League, but I feel like that was a great attempt, but I honestly feel like Chloe Zhao literally killed it with changing the narrative of how we view comic book movies, because it's not your typical like plot to plot, like what you expect to see with the action and then with the dialogue and all that kind of stuff. It was more not only with the visuals, but also with like seeing, like, it's just like a actual, like, it reminded me of it's just an Oscar nominated or winner. Don't want to disrespect it, but she got her, I think she's a winner. She applied the like that type of movie to a comic book movie, which I thought was a great change, and I felt like possibly people are not used to seeing that in this type of setting, so that's probably where the disconnect came. But I loved it, and being introduced to all those characters, being introduced to their dynamic was just great. And I will possibly or possibly not do a review to the Eternals, only because I will have to go see it again. I only saw it once, and I want to go see it again before I sit down and do another review of the movie, just because it just had me in shambles afterwards. From the plot twist to all that kind of stuff. That's just a whole nother dialogue that I'm not ready to get into right now. I'm still not fully ready to get into it right now, but nevertheless, it was great being introduced to all those characters. Makari is my favorite. Makari and Druig stand here, but just being introduced to all those characters: Thena, Gilgamesh, Icarus, Sprite, is it Kingo? And Fastos. And hopefully I didn't, and Cersei. Oh my, I'm missing somebody, but, and once again, the diversity. Oh, and Ajax, because Makari, Ajax, for sure I know were male characters in the books, but this time they were played by female characters. Salma Hayek and Lauren Ridloff played their counterparts. So Salma Hayek was Ajax, which is the leader of the Eternals. He was a male in the books, but she's, you know, she's Salma Hayek. And I thought that was a great change, just because we don't always have to see a male figure be the team lead, and we're used to that. So that was a great change. And then the speedster Makari was a guy named Mark, or whatever his name was in the book, but Makari is Makari. And that's why I also do love they didn't change their names, because in the books as well too, Ike was Icarus, and just because they were fitting in and the whole plot of that, so it made sense of why they did it in the book. But I love that they didn't do it in the movie, and we just got to see them just being themselves and just sticking with their true names. So I just have to say, it's been said a lot too, that this is the type of speedster we need to see. I was so sick seeing the Flash in the Justice League. I hated the effects they applied to him. I hated Ezra, whatever his last name is. I hated his form when he was running. Makari, my girl, she's a runner, she's a track star. Like, she was, oh my goodness, she was it. I love her, and I love Makari in the film as well too. So being introduced to all these new characters, it just gives a high hope of that there's just more excellent characters and people we're about to start seeing in the MCU, and I'm very excited about that. We still have She-Hulk coming, we still have Miss Marvel coming, we still have Ironheart coming, we have a lot of shows coming. Like, if I literally sit, Armor Wars, like if I literally sit here and try to name all the shows we have coming, we just have a lot coming to Marvel, into the MCU, into the universe that we're about to really see. And honestly, I don't know how much I can really prepare for it. Like, I'm ready at all times, but then when I really get there, watch it, I leave in shambles. So I can only be as ready as I can be, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So overall, I love the direction the MCU is taking. I feel like each plot that we receive from, whether it's a show or movie, just really tells us that it's not the same MCU that we've known for the past 10 some years. It's not gonna be what we always expected it to be. Like, those movies from the Infinity Saga, they were great movies and they were good and they laid the foundation, but the changes that we're about to embark on being in this MCU is going to be great, and I feel like we need to be open to those changes rather than keep criticizing and trying to draw parallels to be like, oh, I miss how old Marvel movies used to be. Like, they're going to be there for your viewing. You can go on Disney Plus to go and watch that, but let's not knock all these new changes coming and mean like it's not the same MCU. It's not. They're literally trying to make sure we know it's not the same MCU. The changes, even like this new Spider-Man movie coming up, it's gonna be much darker. Even Spider-Man Far From Home was getting a bit much darker. Now it's getting real life crazy. So get ready. Get ready, okay? And that's gonna do it for me and Megan's views. That's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave down below any comments about what you think, any of the new shows that we've already seen or what's to come, any of the movies as well too, what you think about where the MCU is going, and all that jazz. Just leave your comments down below if you have any questions as well too. Want to get into it? Like, I just want to talk. I just want to talk about it. And I'm so excited to talk about it, as you can tell. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.